Well, welcome everyone. It's so nice for you to be joining me today. This is going to be a very unusual session. And the reason why it's an unusual session was, well, in my first session, I was talking about the history of AI, where it actually came about. And most of us thought about and said, well, it only is in 2022. Well, we actually realized that the thought and the idea came out of the 1800s because of individuals that really wanted to automate the way we do things. But then we had something interesting, and it was an article that I happened to read, which this is quite ironic because I read it on the 27th of April, which is literally the day after when South Africa had this amazing day where the elections and the change, and I thought this is great, the government. And then there was a little bit of like a retraction that came out. It put a massive smile on my face and then immediately gave me a frown because I went, oh, wait a minute. If our government could make a mistake, could our agents make a mistake? So what am I actually talking about? Well, there's a little bit of legalness in this AI world. So I went and I did a little bit of homework. I thought, you know what? I want to reach out to an attorney firm that can actually say they were born before AI was even thought about. So where did I start? Let's start out with the big five. We all know these by name. People or the attorney firms like Cliff Decker, came around in 1853. And I thought, all right, that's great. But then I went through the rest of the big five. Weber Wenzel, 1868. Bauman's, 1885. ENS Africa, 1905. Wackman's in 1917. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to be clever and I'm going to see, is there a firm older than them? Because that would be cool. Lo and behold, there was one. And it was actually one that I couldn't believe that was actually where we did our award ceremony. Their offices are in the same building in Cape Town. And when I saw that, suddenly it was like, okay, if we're going to be talking to anybody about the legal side of AI, we don't want one of the brothers and sisters or the fathers. We want the grandfather. We want the one that really stamped their place. So I want to introduce you to one of the directors of a firm that started, and this actually amazed me because I actually had to Google the dates. It was on the 6th of November, 1812. That blew my mind. The company that I'm making reference to starts with Fairbridges. Taylor, how are you doing? And tell me, is Mr. Fairbridges available? Because I did leave a message for him to call me back. Am I going to have him on the call later today?
Hi, Stuart. Hope you are well and warm on this chilly day. You could leave a message for Mr. Fairbridge with Heaven's secretary. He might get back to you. Yeah, no founding members exist anymore, but sort of about 30 plus new partners, all leading the two branches between Cape Town and Joburg. And Yaku's favorite thing to say about our age is that we are actually older than Coca-Cola, which is something that you think of being a really old institution. And I think he says Liverpool Soccer Club.
Yeah. This was one of the reasons why I wanted to go, let's call it the great-great-great-great-granddaddy of the legal entity in South Africa. So Taylor, give us a high-level overview. Who is Fairbridges as the actual legal firm? What do you do? Just give us the nice high-level overview of the actual company itself.
So we're a full-service firm, lots of different departments: family law, commercial, litigation, sort of mergers and acquisitions, competition law, estates. We've got an estates department. So full service, you could walk in here and really get anything done. And sometimes things start as a property matter, turn into litigation, or turn into an divorce to be done, or some, so we are able to assist all of the clients on, and if not in the Joburg office, we do have the Cape Town office who might have some more specialized practitioners there. You hop on a Zoom call and we can still assist you. On the conveyancing side, we obviously have our department here in Joburg as well as Cape Town. We are on all the bank's panels, either in the Joburg office or in the Cape Town office. So again, full service in the conveyancing sphere. Yaku is our main director in the department, assisted by myself. Tanya does our conveyancing litigation. So again, we've extended the service to, should any of your matters need litigation, a letter of demand or a commission claim, we are very happy to assist there. And yeah, we about 120 staff between the two offices, so we are large in that respect. And yeah, we are so happy to be here today to be talking about this very cool new topic that is on everybody's minds.
Absolutely. And one thing that I actually, and this has actually come out, is when an agent is dealing with Fairbridges, there's a big chance that they're going to be dealing with one of the directors. So not just dealing with let's call it a secretary right down at the bottom, and you just cannot get through. Yaku's actually got a reputation where it could be a Sunday lunchtime, you send him a message, and next minute you get a call back, which is extremely unusual for a director to get personally involved. Is this something that is just Yaku and yourself, or is this something, a policy within the company to make sure that the service level is elevated to a new level?
No, it definitely runs through the whole company. The motto is kind of, if I can't answer right now, we'll get back to you as soon as I can. And we all know that matters in business like to pop up on the weekend. So we really can't afford not to be available. We can't afford to turn the phone off and turn it back on the Monday. And just to go back to what you said, yes, you are always dealing with a high-level employee when you are dealing with, specifically because that's what I know, the conveyancing department. So the transfer will be run either by Yaku, myself, or Tanya. We are all directors. We are client-facing. We are sending all the updates to the clients. We are getting instructions directly from the clients, and we meet with the clients when we sign the documents as best as we can and as much as we are available, so that the clients feel that we're taking it seriously, that they are, again, not speaking to someone who's sitting in the back office who has to take a message because they don't know what's going on in the matter. Of course, we do have admin staff in the background who graciously assist us every day, with the drafting and all the background work that needs to take place. But you will deal with us. We know what's going on with your matters. You can message me on a Saturday and I will know what's going on with your matter. And we are ready to assist. Yaku says he's available 24/7. Stuart, you've clearly tested him on that, and you can confirm that is the truth. He's so passionate about it, and his passion has really spilled over to all of us, where, I'm not annoyed if my phone rings on a Saturday and it's an agent, because I know that they're probably doing an offer or something important. They wouldn't be phoning me if it wasn't important. So it's not a chore for us. We really love what we're doing. We're passionate, and we'd love to assist you guys.
Absolutely. So, and the reason why I brought Fairbridges, yes, I've had interactions with Fairbridges, but I really wanted to get the oldest firm in the country. That was really my biggest thing, because they have got more years of experience. And if we think of the big five, they were probably the sons and daughters of Fairbridges, somewhere along the line, because Fairbridges is like nearly 40 years older than them, which blew my mind. But let's talk about this little incident that put a smile on my face, and then it immediately put a frown. This was that little note that came out by Reuters, which was on the 27th of April. And I have this article which is up in front of me. And it actually was a draft from the National Artificial Intelligence Policy from South Africa. So our government decided we need an AI policy in place, which I agree. But then it was retracted because it had hallucinations inside. So I was just wondering if they'd maybe mixed up AI with maybe the cannabis industry and brought that together, because there were 6 kind of errors where the AI had created its own sources. What do you know about this AI policy? Why was it to be created? It's been retracted. Is it going to come into play? What is your input on this particular policy, which puts a smile on my face and then a frown straight afterwards?
Sone, I know you prepared the whole speech on the AI. Do you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, no problem. I do think it's a not for now, but it will definitely happen in the future. I think we're all still learning, including AI. It's constantly learning. So whatever we feed it, it learns on a daily, per split second. So I think it's something it's definitely going to happen, and in the near future. I don't think it's going to happen next month, but I do think it's going to happen eventually once we find our bearings and understand it a little bit better. I think it's also, we have to remember, and I apologize if you can hear the background noise, we're busy with renovations. I think we tend to forget that we do live in South Africa, and we're, as much as we would like to think we're forward, think we were always 2 steps behind the leading, or the big five. If you look at a global standard, the likes of England and Germany, and let alone China and Japan, when it comes to AI and robotics and things like that. So it's definitely something that will happen. It's something all countries are working on. We're not that far behind. I just think everybody's still adjusting and getting used to it. So I think that's probably the main thing. It's not a never, it's a soon to be continued, or soon to be released. I think that's the main thing. I think we just need to find that medium between the POPI Act, which we have, and I'll chat about it later, and all the legal entities already, and then artificial intelligence as the new entity. And where do they meet, and where are the lines grey, and just establish that.
All right, no, fantastic. And this is something, so it's a draft that's in process. So now I want to close off with Taylor, I want to close off with yourself, because there's something which is a misunderstanding in the legal worlds. We've got legal in South Africa, but there's also legal in the UK, and there's legal in, well, the US. And for a non-legal person, they think law is law, doesn't matter where you are in the world, but that's not true. Law is very, very different. What is the law in South Africa, and why is it different to the law in the US?
So it came from sort of our common law foundations, which we came from the Roman Dutch law. So we incorporated the principles of that system, whereas the English sort of created their own legal system, and America, or the US, follows that. For example, those two are both countries that still have the jury system. We don't have the jury system, have not had the jury system, because it wasn't one of the principles of our law. We've always had the judge or the magistrate as the adjudicator, and not a peer adjudication. So that's a large difference between the two. And yeah, it just comes from how our law developed, from the founding fathers. So even for me, if I wanted to immigrate to London or to New York, I would have to sort of almost redo my course. I'd have to do a bridging course, because the law is so different. And the law in the greater scheme of things is the same. But, when it comes down to the actual acts and the way that they apply those acts, that's where the differences is. So that is what is dangerous about AI. If I go on ChatGPT and I say, how do I evict someone? I have to be very careful that it is not pulling through sources and information and laws from America or from London or from Japan, because that is the risk. And then you will be advising your client, this is what to do, and it is not actually in tune with the South African law. So Sone will, touch on that more, but that is, from my perspective, one of the danger signs of the AI. But I must say, I've used it. It is helpful to do a skeleton structure, helpful to just word things a little bit more nicely than maybe you could have come up with. But yeah, very, with the law in particular, got to be very careful.
Absolutely. And the key thing that I really wanted to highlight here is I've actually had a document that came through to me from an agent. And in the actual document, not only did it had law which was from the US, but it actually had real estate terms from the US. So in fact, the entire document is null and void. But this was a document that was signed by all parties, which really then said, well, now we're in a danger area. And this is one of the reasons why in this particular session, I wanted to bring in legal experts to actually highlight that, yes, when we use the AIs in the world, they are going to pull from a collective resource. This collective resource could be documents or sources that are based in the US. And that information that comes through could be actually incorrect. And that could actually close a deal. That could actually tarnish your name because it's a bit of an embarrassment. So yes, use it as a framework, but it's always highly recommended to take that information, speak to a local legal practitioner in South Africa to make sure that it is valid. Don't take the shortcuts. That is what I want to highlight in this particular session. So Taylor, I want to thank you for your time, for coming on and joining us, because now I'm really going to start digging in with Sone, because we spend a lot of our time, well, one, creating documentation, and we've seen that the legal practice is very different. But two, we've now doing a lot which is going onto social media. And now there's a few risks that are coming into it. And it's these risks that I want to highlight to you to make sure that you remain compliant and then you're not overstepping the mark. So, Sone, I know that you've got something prepared for us, which is really to put us at ease so that we do it the correct way. Tell us more about what you're going to share with us.
So yeah, I think today we're just going to touch a little bit. I think just to introduce myself and my role at Fairbridges, I'm the business developer for the conveyancing department. I have a massive marketing background predominantly, so I can chat to social media, and I'm happy to advise on that as well. I mean, I think we were I come from a digital marketing industry, so I think we were some of the first people to get introduced to AI, and our introduction was AI is going to replace you and it's going to take your job. So I was thrown into the deep end, and with the fear put into me that AI is going to replace my job. I then ended up replacing myself and getting a new job. But yeah, I think what we're just going to chat about today is just the risks and the legal compliance with regards to using AI. By any means, I'm not saying do not use AI. I'm more predominantly saying how to best use AI, and just to cover your tracks and make sure that all is fine and dandy on your side. I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just saying use it, but use it well and get to know your AI. It's there. I always tell my clients it's there to assist you, not to replace you. Think of it as a virtual assistant rather than a replacement. I think that's what I kept telling myself when I was told it's going to take my job, and I soon realized it's not going to, not anytime soon, at least.
Absolutely.
So
that is actually key. I just wanted to highlight that little point. AI is not going to replace you. Remember, AI doesn't have that human element to it. Is it going to progress over the years?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Remember, we used to have a brick on our side, and now we have got smartphones that can actually send
live in your sunglasses at this point.
Exactly. So let's talk about what you're wanting to share with us, which is making sure that we are legally compliant when we're doing marketing, social media, and all of that.
Yeah, I think there's some boring parts to this presentation, but at the end of the day, I would like for it to be a conversation and just say where your agents have also used AI, and maybe we can advise as to what would potentially be a better way to approach it. I don't think there's anybody who, except for my father, but he's 70, that hasn't used AI, at least not unless it was by accident through Facebook. But I think everybody has come into contact, whether it was with Gemini or OpenAI or the big old ChatGPT that everybody knows. So yeah, let's get into it, I guess.
Go for it. Looking forward to it.
Now I just need to figure out how to share my screen on this tool. You know, it always makes me think of back in the COVID days where everybody struggled and said, "Can you hear me?" And the
Exactly.
Wi-Fi couldn't keep up, and now almost every second call is
Stuart,
on.
can I just say something while she gets sorted? Not to punt them, and I'm not affiliated in any way, but my friend and his friend developed a South African sort of AI legal platform called Murphy's Law. Funny name. And I got a free login. They asked me to test it. So I often, just randomly put a sentence in or something, and it's super, super helpful. And it's South African. It pulls from South African law and South African cases. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I know LexisNexis has come out with its own, also sort of for the South African market, but that is exciting. And just like the smartphone development, we will catch up, and South Africa is not too far behind.
I absolutely love that. Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law AI is how you can find it, and there's different, packages for the access.
Oh, no, I absolutely love that. To have something that is in South Africa is a great, and thank you for sharing that, because we're always looking for something that can actually support. Now, I know a lot of the legal fraternity is probably going to be using that for their little references, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, government. But maybe next time when they do the policies, it'll actually not create these hallucinating different sources that they actually go ahead and create it. And I actually... The article that I read, and just jumping back into this, was the minister actually said that this was an integrity crisis, which I thought was absolutely amusing because, well, just think of our government. Yes, everything is good, but the integrity to go and create something that has 6 non-legal, or if you want to say not legal, but legitimate sources, I thought it was actually quite funny. That's the integrity of the actually bringing up. So I see Sone has actually dropped out. I'm sure she is
got to let her back in.
going to come
she
back
is.
in. There we go.
Ready to share. No sound. Sound.
I do have sound. It's when it decides to completely restart because now you've changed one setting.
No problem. This is the beauty of doing things live. It's the transparency, the authenticity. I love it. There we go. We've got the actual slides coming up on the screen now.
Wonderful. Please tell me if you can't see.
All you got to do, there we go. We've got it. We are seeing your repeated little block in the corner, which is the normal Zoom thing. Yeah, if you close that, it should. There we go. Over to you.
So I'm not going to do any introductions. I did have an introduction plan, but we've done a little bit of an introduction already, so I don't think we have to. Now we just need to. There we go. So I think just as regards to this, the core principle is when estate agents use AI to draft legal documentation, and I think that's the predominant issue that we've seen over and over and again is. Again, I repeat myself, AI is only a drafting assistant. The estate agent remains fully legally responsible for everything produced. I can also provide you with these slides if you don't feel like taking any notes, or if you're just listening in one ear. I'm happy to share it with you, Stuart. So artificial intelligence tools like OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, just to name a few, are obviously becoming increasingly more common in the workplace. And of course, you agents use it for a variety of things. And I mean, I think that's anybody, whether it's helping you with emails or preparing your marketing material or writing the write-ups for your posts on Property 24. But is also including assisting with legal documentations, such as sales agreements or lease templates. This means AI can help you, but it cannot legally authorize, validate, or finalize them. Please bear in mind that this document is final, and you'll hear me say this quite often, and that's where the legal complications come in. The estate agent carries full legal risk for anything that goes wrong. So the legal reality in South Africa, and I mean, we chatted about the legislation being there and then disappearing again. AI's use in real estate is not governed by any AI law yet. Instead, it is regulated through existing legislation, and that's the main four, and that's the Protection of Personal Information, or how we know it as the POPI Act, the Property Practitioners Act, Consumer Protection Act, and then the common law principles, such as negligence, misrepresentation, or contract law. So the legal position is AI use is allowed, but only if it complies to existing legal duties. Please remember this, and the orange blocks are very important. That's why I put them in the orange blocks. The important point to understand is that AI itself is not illegal, of course not, but estate agents are allowed to use AI tools. However, the use of AI must comply to the existing South African laws. Currently, South Africa does not yet have a dedicated artificial intelligence, although the National Draft Intelligence was withdrawn in 2026. Again, I repeat myself, I apologize for that, but it is very important to know that it is not yet, but it will be soon. So please keep an eye on that. Set a Google alert if you can, because once that steps in, as we know in South Africa, and with the rising petrol rates, it's immediate or by midnight. So please be aware of that. AI is a tool, not a legal advisor. It will not ever replace your legal practitioner. Please remember that. One of the most important principles we want to emphasize today is that it will not ever replace your legal practitioner. Please remember that just how you don't want it to replace your doctor, you don't want it to replace your lawyer. The biggest legal issues is, and I hammer on this quite a bit in this presentation, and that is, even if AI generates the document, the estate agent is still responsible for its accuracy, its legality, and for all the consequences it carries. So unfortunately, you can't say in court that AI did it. The court will see it as the practitioner is liable. Very, very important there. You are fully legally responsible for every document, communication, and agreement produced by AI. And that predominantly at the moment, because it's so deeply inherited in the POPI Act and obviously the Consumer Protection Act. It depends on what you feed AI, and we do end up we go into that a little bit deeper now. If AI generated agreement contains incorrect clause, misleading wording, or invalid legal terms, the estate agent cannot defend themselves by saying AI generated it. The responsibility remains with the practitioner who used the tool in the first place. This creates significant legal compliance implications, one of the biggest concerns being POPI. So just delving a little bit deeper into POPI, and please stop me if I'm going a little bit too fast. I do tend to do that. I have ADHD. So if I do run my mouth, please stop me or slow me down. When drafting legal documents using AI, estate agents risk quite a bit, or in the POPI Act, it will be referred to, or in this case, the agent will be referred to as a responsible party. This means that the estate agent determines how and why personal information is processed and remains accountable for protecting that information. Unlawful processing of personal information. If a client data is entered into an AI tool, it may be stored externally, it may be reused for training, and it may be transferred outside South Africa. We have to remember that AI tools are predominantly positioned outside of South Africa. There are some local tools that people are working on, but not the most popular ones. They do cross international boundaries, and that runs the risk of sharing personal information across borders, which poses an even larger risk and an international risk. This creates what my advice would be there, or what our advice would be there, is if you do use AI to draft a document, refer to it as party A, party B, and then fill in that information post the drafting by AI, so that no personal information is actually shared with the AI tool itself, if that makes sense. There's an accountability issue, obviously a security issue, and then that cross-border transfer rules, which is is quite, and I mean, these things happen unintentionally. I don't think anybody does this intentionally to say, oh, I want AI to have all my clients' personal information. I just don't think people from the get-go think about the fact that they're sharing it across borders, or with or that person's name might pop up in somebody else's search, or even worse, ID number or net worth, or anything any more important like an address. I think just to bear that in mind is always, and keep that top of mind, is very, very important. Confidentiality breaches, obviously you sign and you have a relationship with your client. Sensitive information may be exposed if if you are signed into AI and it retains your prompts. AI will then eventually use it as part of its learning. And then they can, like I mentioned before, spit that information out to somebody else that is searching for something similar. Data is accessed or leaked, very similar to what I just said. If you put in information like an address or a net worth or email addresses or ID numbers, that can be leaked to unsuspecting humans, but it could be quite dangerous to them. And then third-party systems are compromised, in the sense of, if people have enough information about you, they can potentially gain access to other platforms that you are active on, for instance, banking. So it depends on how much information you give AI, but you have to remember, like I've mentioned, is AI is constantly learning by the second, and it learns by learning from other people and other people's behavior and searches. So the more you teach it, the more it will feed you back. I often say to people to train, if you look at AI as an assistant, to train it like you would an intern at your office, right? The way you speak, the way you are towards clients, so that they eventually become like a mini you. So they speak like you, they act like you, they eventually give information the way you would, so that it becomes an extension of yourself, if that makes sense. So the more you train your AI, the more helpful it will be. However, please always bear in mind that it will never replace any legal entity. Do not ask it, just how you would not ask it how to perform open heart surgery. Please don't ask it to draft you documents on any property aspects, or any legal aspect for that matter, whether it's your divorce or your marriage certificates, or purchasing of a property. So many AI platforms information on international service, which may trigger cross-border data transfer concerns under Section 72 of the POPI Act. Just if you want to go learn a little bit more about that, that's freely available online to you. For this reason, estate agents should avoid entering sensitive information to AI platforms where possible. So just on that, sorry, I'm just keeping my notes on the side here. Another major risk that is associated with AI is hallucinations. And I've got an example here that I would like to share. So in America, there was a guy that, and because you can represent yourself in America, he decided to represent himself in court, and he ended up widely hammering on AI for assistance with his court case, and he ended up citing court cases from Law and Order episodes, and his court case, needless to say, eventually got thrown out because AI couldn't tell the difference between actual court cases and a Law and Order episode. So that's just an example of an hallucination. So incorrect legal clauses, or clauses taken from international cases, or virtual or fake cases, in this case where it's from a TV series. Incorrect property descriptions, false assumptions about law or procedures, incomplete or outdated legal references. So the contract may look professional, but it is most likely legally invalid, incomplete, and misleading. Again, another reason why to run it by your legal practitioner or law practitioner, just to check that it's 100% okay. Again, you can always assist an attorney, but you will never be able to replace them. It just helps you. It's to your own benefit if it runs across their table first. And luckily for you, we are available 24/7, like Taylor mentioned, and we are always there to assist or advise where we can. Why AI legal drafting is risky. The practical reality is AI systems can produce. A reasonable estate agent must verify the accuracy and the legality of a document before use. Using AI does not lower this standard. In fact, regulators would likely expect even higher caution when AI is used. And again, just to hammer back onto the fact that we discussed in the previous slide, the dangers of AI is it often sounds highly confident, and even when it's wrong, you'll often see when you put in a prompt into ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever you tend to use, it's always happy to work and happy to assist. Thank you so much for your in-depth prompt, even though you just said, please, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? They always refer to it as an in-depth prompt, where it isn't usually. They often sound highly confident. Therefore, AI-generated document must be carefully reviewed and verified before any use whatsoever. And where legal documents are involved, attorney oversight remains critical. So, again, the practical reality is that AI may assist with drafting structure and with wording. Often people use AI to refine their speech or their text. I often use AI for that. I am a blue language person, and if you know anything about pink language versus blue language, I'm very much straight to the point. But because I am client, I often need assistance with prettifying my emails. So I often use AI to assist me with that. But again, assist me, not replace me, in the sense of I use it as a skeleton draft, and then I still add my own words so that it doesn't sound completely like a stranger. It still sounds like me, because I still have to face that client in person. So always make sure that your key compliance rules is AI can draft, the estate agent can refine, but the attorney must review legal documents where required. And I think those 3 steps are important to keep on your desk, or always keep top of mind. Is you can, again, AI is not illegal. You can use it. You must refine or add to it, and then your attorney must oversee it if where required. Obviously, not every email you type, the attorney doesn't need to see that. But when it comes to legal documentation, it's critical that your attorney reviews it, especially for sales agreements, lease agreements, special conditions, complex clauses, dispute-sensitive wording, etc., etc. And I mean, that list is never ending. But anything legal, if it has anything to do with any legalities, or if somebody can sue you because of it, let an attorney oversee it. It's just for your own safety and your own bed rest at night. Makes it easier if an attorney has seen it. So here's just a little bit of a model that you can use. So it's obviously AI drafts. It's used for speed and structure only, just for layout based. But make sure that if you use AI, that you ensure that it is in British English or UK English. And you can tell AI this beforehand, that it only use South African law or South African examples from real cases and real documentation, non-fictional, so that it has some sort of a structure to start with, and not the whole. You don't give them the whole world. So in marketing, we used to refer to this as to spray and pray, and that is, the world is your oyster, and you can just bring back whatever. But in this case, if you give AI a structure or a framework, it will refine that funnel of your search or your delivery. So the more details you give, and I think that counts for quite a lot of things, is the more details you give, the more refined your outcome is going to be. So make sure that your prompt or whatever you say to AI, or when your training starts with AI, that you condition it and train it the way that makes sense to you. And then step 2, the estate agent reviews. So you need to check the accuracy, the compliance, the wording, and the completeness. Those are just 4 of many. I mean, you can again add to that list, but those are the 4 most important ones. Make sure that it's accurate, as in it's based on South African documentation, just as an example, and not American phrases are being used. It's compliance, again, make sure that it is valid in the country that you are in, or to the people that you are serving. Wording, ensure that it is a professional language and it actually sounds like a legal document and it doesn't sound unprofessional. And then completedness is to make sure that it is actually the full document and not just a part of the document. Step 3, the personal information safeguards, is that no sensitive client information or data is shared with the AI tools. I think we chatted about this quite a bit in the sense of the more you give it, the more it remembers. So please remember that about yourself as well. People tend to like to jump on these AI trends. I'm sure some of you have seen the Met Gala trends. What would I look like if I went to the Met Gala? But people tend to forget that they are actually uploading photos of themselves to a massive machine that is sharing it with other massive machines. And to make sure that you are aware of the fact that you and your dress is, or in your suit is, that photo is available to essentially everyone in the world, and that your face can then be used for other things like facial recognition or security purposes. So I tend to stay away from those trends, and I'm not here to make you scared of them. I'm just saying be aware of the fact that you are sharing personal information, that being a picture of your face, with a massive machine that's sharing it with other massive machines. And then use placeholders instead. As I mentioned, refer to it as client A, client B, or seller, buyer, or anything that makes sense to you, so that you can fill it in after the draft or the framework has been finalized. And then obviously send it to your attorney to review. And then the legal review, again, make sure that once everything is done, you can send it to your attorney or the transfer attorney in this case, of your choice, and say, please, can you go over this? Does this make sense? Or do we need to redo this completely? Again, you are definitely assisting and speeding up the process, but it really depends on what that draft and framework looks like and whether it is legally compliant. The bottom line here is that the estate agents may use AI to assist with drafting legal documentation, but they cannot delegate legal responsibility, compliance obligations, or professional liability to AI systems. Full accountability remains with the practitioner at all times under the POPI and property law frameworks. Please remember this. And AI can generate words, but only legal professionals can ensure those words are lawful, accurate, and enforceable. And that is me. I feel like I sped through this, and that we have so much time left, but I am happy for a question session if you guys are open to that.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for going through this particular process, because what this has really brought to the highlight is the importance of how to use AI correctly. And one area that I really want to highlight to all the agents is caution putting in your client's details. Taking an offer to purchase, scanning it in and saying, please give me a review, especially if it's an offer to purchase from a different agent. There's bits and pieces of information that's going to be extracted. And you've got to be very cautious about this. I love the way that you say if you upload your photo, it's going to a machine that's going to a bigger machine that's going out to the world.
Yes.
And I think it's not to scare, like you said, but that actually just brings it right to the top of your mind. Like, wow, what could a machine be doing if it has my face, if it has my ID number, if it has all my contact details, it has a bank statement that I went and uploaded to say, please help me with my expenses. It has all that information. That information you think is safe. And that's where the biggest clause comes in, because it's actually getting shared out with these bigger machines out in the actual open, which is scary. Yep,
Yeah, I
it
think
is scary.
especially because there's no act yet, and the lines are still very grey, and people are unsure about what they can and cannot do, and what stands in court and what doesn't. I think it's very important to notify that, just even be more overcautious rather than not be cautious at all, and say, actually, I'm going to use AI to help me write emails, but that's about it. I'm actually not going to ask it to draft legal documents. I'm actually just going to ask my attorneys to do it, because me as the agent don't actually pay for it. So I'm actually just going to ask the attorneys to do it for me.
Exactly. That's why they studied for what, I think it's maybe 3 months, and then they got their license from a local store. No, they study for years. I know my daughter's going through the process, and it is a long-winded process, but it's why they call them legal professionals.
Yeah.
They are there to help and draft these particular documents to actually make sure that everything is compliant and nothing goes against any one of those particular acts that are actually out there. So, Sone, I actually want to thank you for that presentation. I know you said in the beginning it might be long, it might be drawn out, but it was extremely informative and
I'm
really highlighted so many different points that I don't think many of us were actually aware of. And now you've actually done all of that. So let's go and open up to a Q&A. If you do have any questions, you are more than welcome to either pop it into the actual chat box, or alternatively, I have turned on the microphones. You can go ahead and just raise your hand and you can actually ask a question behind that. So before we go into that Q&A, and that's just prepping everybody to do all of that, Taylor, I just want to say thank you for coming into this particular session. And any final thoughts or words from yourself around what we've discussed today?
I just want to say I was meant to go off after the intro, but I actually stayed on and I really enjoyed this. I must say, thought the presentation was very cool, very apt. Like Sone said, I often also would just use ChatGPT if I'm looking for how to word an email nicely, just prettify something, a specific clause, but I just don't think we can trust this yet for full documents to be generated. And I agree very much with what you said about the personal information. Don't be putting in your full seller's names and things. You know, that's all things you can fill in afterwards. So 100% agree with that. Yeah, it's a cool space that we're going into. It's a very helpful tool, also a dangerous tool. So, you know, if we all just remember that, Jaco had a transfer that he was doing where the guy was very clearly using ChatGPT and copying things, and you could see it, like it said there, like generated by ChatGPT or something. So we knew he was doing that. And so the thing is, if you're purporting to be something that you're not, it's going to start irritating people as well. So edit it, like Sone says, to within your means. Let it still sound like you. And then I don't think
stay away from the big dash, guys. I think anybody who has used AI knows the massive dash. It's a dead giveaway that you are using AI, because nobody, especially in South African or UK English, uses that dash at all. For us, it's usually a comma or a semicolon. If you're doing at least that, remove the big dash,
just
please,
especially
from your social media posts.
And have the wherewithal to proofread it before you send. Don't just be copying, pasting, sending off.
Yes.
Edit, make it sound like yourself, and it's a very helpful tool. So yeah. use with caution.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Taylor. I know that you were busy on your schedule, and I want to thank you for your time, for actually coming into this particular session and just highlighting a few of those legal areas that probably has answered the questions before anybody even thought about that. So again, thank you so much for coming on to today. And Sone, I want to say a huge thank you, because we all know that doing any form of legal presentations can be a little bit monotonous and boring, but I know that it had people at the edge of their seat with the information that you actually shared. So any final thoughts, comments, or words from yourself to close up?
I must say, I must give you props for running these sessions. It's the first I've come across in the industry. I have honestly, I've worked with a lot of agents, and some of them just, they're not interested in more information. They just use ChatGPT for the reason. Some of them use Facebook, which is terrifying. But yeah, so I must commend you for running this session, or these sessions. I know there's more than one. Please, guys, learn from it. It's not widely available. So if it's given to you, please take the opportunity to learn from it, because you obviously get access to people that know quite a bit more about it in the industry, especially when it comes to social media and the legal aspects. So please learn from it and take some notes while you're at it, because not everybody has access to this kind of information.
Fantastic.
Without using AI.
Without using AI. So this is another session in the month of May, spelt MAI, a month where we take, well, all information around AI to help you, not only from the history of AI, but we've gone through the legal aspects of AI. We've also got future sessions where we're going to be looking at different techniques to help us with AI to enhance our business. So from myself, Stuart, I want to thank you all for coming into this particular session. Do look out for more sessions that are going to come out that really is going to help you to enhance your AI experience. Remember, AI is not here to replace you. It's here to help you. So you have an absolutely fantastic day forward. Until our next session, it's a cheers for now.